Hello, new listeners. I'm Mariana Rizabal, and this is my first podcast on dress code and how ridiculous it can really be. So, I know all the young girls out there, or even the older group, have just seen so many weird things that are caused by the male gaze and how students are so sexualized, and even women in the workplace, because of a clothing item that a man can't decide to not look at, and it's ridiculous. When I was even in elementary school, I remember I wore a little shirt, a white shirt, and over it was a tank top. It was a full white shirt. You couldn't see anything. It was collared. It was high. I was in elementary school. No midriff was showing. And my teacher pulls me out of class, tells me to go to the principal office and to change because I'm breaking dress code and showing too much skin. Now, I'm 7 years old. I don't even know what showing too much skin is. I'm 7. I haven't gone through anything. I'm in elementary school about to go paint some hand turkeys, and my teacher's telling me that what I'm wearing is not appropriate. And as I'm walking to the principal's office, I'm like, what do I even say? Little 7-year-old Mariana, I'm just so confused. And I get to the principal's office, and they tell me I need to get my mom to bring me a new shirt. My mother works from 7 in the morning to 5 p.m. She works about 30 minutes from my school. She was not going to go out of her way to bring me a new shirt when my current shirt was fine. And again, I'm 7 years old. Why am I being sexualized? And I'm also being pulled out of class where I'm missing class and not being able to learn because of spaghetti straps as a 7-year-old, which is ridiculous. Now, on the middle school portion of it, I remember we would be sitting in class. The principal, vice principal, everybody, administration would walk in, tell all the girls to stand up, no boys. All the girls, please stand up, put your arms down to your side, and they'd be pointing at everybody, picking them out one by one, seeing if their shorts were too short because of the fingertip rule, if their shoulders were showing, if their chest was showing, if their pants were too tight. And I remember one time there was this girl. We're in middle school, maybe 6th, 7th grade, 11, 12. We're still children. And they're over here pointing out all these young girls while the men just sit there and are oblivious to it all when they're the reason this is an issue. This girl is wearing shorts. It almost reaches her fingertips, but apparently they're not long enough. They point her out in front of the entire dead silent class and say, "You, young lady, come with us." Pull her out of class and make her mother come pick her up because what she wasn't wearing wasn't appropriate, which is ridiculous because who cares? It was almost to her fingertips. She was not showing any of her butt. No shorts were too short. She was just an innocent girl in the Florida heat trying to get through middle school and learn and just be able to go home and relax, but instead she was faced with a challenge because apparently thighs distract young men. And the fact that administration thought it's okay to go around school pointing out all the young girls and not even making the men participate is ridiculous. Of course, in high school, we kind of have an understanding as to why this was done, but there was no reason for it to be done in elementary school and middle school, especially in the early 2000s. Because the trends that were going along then are not like now. No little girls wearing crop tops or booty shorts like they are now. Now, back to high school, I have my own another personal experience where I'm wearing this cute off-the-shoulder shirt for picture day because I want to look sophisticated. I'm walking to class, and some administrator with their walkie-talkie starts yelling at me to stop in the middle of switching classes in front of everybody. And I turn bright red because I'm like, this is so embarrassing. And she raises her voice at me and says, "What in God's name do you think you're doing showing all that skin?" And I'm like, there's literally no way. Now I'm in high school. I'm a sophomore, 15, 16. I'm like, are you kidding me? Who am I distracting with my shoulders? Are you kidding? And I had to go into the office and wear someone's old sweaty gym shirt for a picture day because apparently my shoulders are distracting. Beginning at elementary school, I was sexualized, and so were all of my friends, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. At what point did the school system think it is okay to point out all these young girls' clothing and sexualize them, especially at such a young age? They don't even know what you're talking about. Of course, there's the understanding of certain things like gang violence being represented through students' clothing, especially in high school. But to what extent do we go from such a serious issue to girls showing off their shoulders or their mid-thighs? Obviously, there are girls that abuse this and take advantage of people who won't say anything to her when she's wearing clothes that shows off her breasts or her butt, or or her midriff, and they make it such an issue because now administrators have to get hard on everybody else who's literally just showing their shoulders, and it's ridiculous. With dress codes, students aren't even allowed to show their culture through their clothing because anything is offensive to everybody nowadays. Now, there's a big debate regarding private schools having uniforms to avoid such issues, but then children are not allowed to express themselves through their clothing like they usually do because they're forced to have uniforms. But with uniforms, young girls and young boys are able to avoid the embarrassment of being dress coded and sexualized, especially starting at such a young age, because for no reason was any elementary school or middle schooler supposed to be pulled out of class, miss their learning because someone was distracted by their learning with some quotes, because no one's distracted. But with uniforms, again, it can lead to issues such as peer pressure and social satisfaction based on clothing choices and distractions in the learning environment. Because if you have a certain uniform policy, then everybody looks the same, and no one can be like, oh, they're poor because they don't have this, and she's rich because she has this, and then it leads to such a separation between students. It's also said, and I agree with this, dress codes is honestly promoting body shaming, as when certain clothing is deemed inappropriate, it sends a message that our bodies are something to be hidden or ashamed of, contributing to negative body images. And instead of students worrying about their studies, they're worried, oh my goodness, am I going to be pulled out of class because my shoulders are showing or because my pants have rips in them? Your pants can have the tiniest rip in them and you're done because school doesn't allow that. And it's just ridiculous. And dress codes ignore cultural differences, as what might be seen as distracting in one culture is perfectly normal in another. There needs to be dress codes that consider and respect students' diverse backgrounds. To avoid these issues of being dress coded for legitimately no reason, because apparently it's been deemed inappropriate to show your shoulders or your chest. But of course, different bodies are sexualized, as a girl with bigger breasts can be wearing the same exact thing as a girl who's less developed. But the girl with the bigger breasts is sexualized because there's something for them to look at, but the girl who's not as fully developed gets to stay in class, as it's seen as no issue and fair, which is honestly disgusting. Navigating the challenges of dress codes and potential teacher sexualization requires a lot of effort from educators, administrators, and policymakers. By prioritizing professionalism, offering training and awareness programs, and establishing clear policies, it could just make an environment where students feel respected and protected. Ultimately, addressing the issues requires a commitment to upholding the trust between students and teachers while maintaining the integrity of the educational experience. And of course, for the people who abuse the dress code policy, it's hard to take them out of the normal crowd of kids. But with implementing warning systems, instead of immediately pulling students out of class for dress code violations, schools can implement warning systems, because why are children being pulled out of learning as girls are being sexualized? And again, boys go through this too, because you chose to look at a child and be like, this is inappropriate, they're sexualizing themselves, and now you've made a girl or boy incredibly uncomfortable. It would promote a more proactive and communicative approach to addressing these issues, as issuing warnings gives students an opportunity to change their clothing choices without the immediate disruption of being pulled out of class. It's just a fair and constructive way to address dress code concerns. Dress codes aim to sexualize young girls more than boys. It is just obvious with all the dress code sections, where the men will have 2 bullet points of what they can't wear, and the girls have pages upon pages of what they cannot wear because they've been sexualized. A man can wear a tank top, show his whole stomach, his shoulders, his arms, his chest, everything. But a girl does that and it's too revealing. She shows her midriff barely, it's too revealing. I'm sorry, I'm a woman. all the clothes that are shown and catered to me are tiny tops and skinny jeans. I don't, like, no shirt is gonna not show my midriff unless it's a bodysuit or the shirt is to my knees. Men can also sag their pants and show their whole bottoms, but girls wear shorts that show their mid-thighs, and it's a problem, and they're out of class because they're apparently disrupting the class. And this can even lead to, what if the girl had a test today and she's pulled out of class because of her outfit choice when she was trying to be confident and more positive in her body image. Now, this is just touching on the first couple of, my opinions on dress code, because it really triggers me, because it's honestly ridiculous how girls are sexualized, and I've seen it. I've seen my friends go through it. I've comforted my friends crying after being dress coded because they feel disgusted and embarrassed with themselves. Tune into my next podcast to really compare different clothing in a video that I will be showing different outfits and what's wrong with them, and you'll be surprised with everything that's really wrong with them when you might just see one thing. Thanks for listening.